Look, all I'm saying is if you use less teeth, it'd be way more enjoyable for both. What's going on? What's going on?
And an evil videotape that kills anyone who watches it in 7 days.
This man is a god!
I can't believe they're freaking actually gonna do this. Hey guys, thanks for clicking on this video. My name is Chris. Venom Let There Carnage has finally hit theaters, and now that the movie is released and out there for the public, it's time for us to go full spoilers and dive into everything involved with the latest comic book movie. And that's exactly what I'm gonna be doing here for you guys in this video. I'm gonna be going into some of the Easter eggs involved with Venom Let There Be Carnage, breaking down some of the more awesome moments in the film, and of course, talking about the implications of the end credit scene and what it means for Venom 3 and Spider Man No Way Home? But I'm gonna need you guys to give me your opinions down below with Venom Let There Be Carnage. What were some of your favorite moments? What did you like about this movie? What didn't you like? And as well, talking to me about your theories with that end credit scene and what it means for the future. But be honest with me, did you actually like this movie? Or did you just like the end credits scene? Don't lie to me. And real quick before diving into the review, I do want to go ahead and give a little giveaway for a Carnage pop. I'm going to give away 5 of these little bad boys. Carnage was definitely one of the best parts of this movie, so I want to spread the love in there. So if you want to be entered to get one of these, just make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and comment down below you want to be entered, and I'm going to pick 5 people at random. Alright, so with Venom Let There Be Carnage, I'll just reiterate some of my thoughts on the movie. Like I said, I do like this film a lot better than the first movie. I'm just still having trouble getting used to this interpretation of Venom that Sony is pulling now, because I always saw the character of Venom and Eddie Brock as almost like a Jekyll and Hyde situation. Not so much where Eddie Brock is this good guy and then when he puts on the black suit he just turns on full evil. It was just more of Eddie Brock was a jerk, a douche, and then when you latch on the symbiote that enhances those tendencies, the dude should be a very frightening, scary person to be around, and Sony would just rather turn it into a buddy cop relationship where they're kind of like bad roommates. Of course, it was very entertaining, but I just feel like it's kind of holding back the character of Venom a little bit. Still, who cares about that when we actually got to see Carnage in this movie and that end credits scene? Oh my god. Segueing me to what I thought about Carnage in this movie. Look, I liked Woody Harrelson's performance. I thought the dude did a really great job as Cletus Cassidy. He definitely comes off as sadistic, cruel, and mean, but even with the jaw-dropping fast pace of this movie, I thought they still did a good job with setting up the backstory of Cletus Cassidy when he's writing the letter to Eddie Brock, and we get to see this animation of him killing his mom, killing his grandma. It's just a little bit of setup we need to know that this guy means business. I will say the one particular thing I didn't like about Carnage in this movie is that they gave him a love motivation, because to me it's almost like the same problem Jared Leto's Joker has with Harley Quinn, where Jared Leto's Joker is madly in love with Harley Quinn, but I think most fans would tell you that Joker never actually loves Harley Quinn. He just sees her as a valuable asset and tool to keep around, but the man is so sadistic, crazy, and wild-eyed that he doesn't even have the emotion to show love to another person. That's the same way I see Cletus Cassidy, a sadistic killer who only wants to kill, has no emotion or even wanting to show love to another person, because I do think that is a weakness for a character that's just supposed to be full out crazy, and well, you see them exploit that weakness in this movie. In some of those end battles where Cletus starts arguing with his symbiote Carnage, and one could argue was also the reason he ended up losing against Venom. That was my only nitpick and gripe with Carnage, and even then I still did like the way they introduced Shriek, because I wasn't too sure how they were going to bring her storyline into the movie, but having her be a childhood love of Cletus, who also is just as crazy and wild, was something that the movie was able to pull off. But on the subject of that final battle and some of the action sequences in this movie, they definitely improved the action here from the last Venom film. In that first movie, the battle between Venom and Riot was just like a CGI mess that you couldn't really tell what's going on, but here it feels like they really gave Cletus Cassidy not only his signature weapons from the comics, being able to turn his hands into certain spears and whatnot, but just seeing the prison break scene where he's got the bullets going through them, he's letting inmates loose. Even though I think the scene would have been a lot better if they actually showed some blood and gore, it was good enough for me at a PG-13 level to be like, okay, yeah, this guy's scary. I would not want to be captured by Cletus. I was kind of taken back when he started doing the tornado though. I was like, oh, I didn't know Carnage could do that. But when it came to that final church battle between Venom and Carnage, it was everything I could have wanted. So many great moments that I could see myself rewatching that over and over, and even the little hints to the church bell ringing reminded me of scenes from Spider Man 3, as well as there was even one particular moment in that battle when Venom is holding on to his ex-girlfriend, and it feels like they were setting up the exact same shot from Amazing Spider-Man 2 where Andrew Garfield dropped Gwen Stacy. And it was even between this battle between Venom and Carnage that the movie reminded me why I wish Venom was his true self, eating people and going out there, because it seemed like every time Carnage would kill the victim, he became stronger and bigger, becoming a huge threat for Venom since all he's been eating is chocolate and chickens. I do kind of wish the movie had the courage to let Venom eat bad guys. I'm not saying eat good people, but like that purse snatcher in the beginning, go ahead, eat him up. That way he has that bad side of him, but they really want to try and keep Venom as a Boy Scout for some reason. But then one of my fears came true that I was hoping they wouldn't do in this movie, but of course they did. Venom kills off Cletus Cassidy. I was hoping they would arrest him, put him away, and bring him back for another movie. Because now knowing that Venom is gonna meet Spider-Man, I would love Spider-Man to meet Carnage. But then again, maybe that's how they could make up for Venom not being as strong as Carnage, because he did absorb his symbiote, so maybe that gave him the strength that Carnage had, plus his own. Leading me to some of the setups that they're setting up in this Venom universe before we get to the end credits scene. Obviously, the police officer, Mulligan, which I gotta say, I did like the detective character throughout the movie. But if you're a comic book reader, his name should have been a little familiar to you, because you know in the comics he eventually turns into the character of Toxin, which is an offspring of Carnage. And as the movie is ending, we get a close-up of Detective Mulligan's eyes after he was wounded by Carnage, looking like he's been infected by his symbiote since his eyes were changing, hinting that he'll become Toxin and maybe another villain or problem for Venom. And it's this setup right here and some of the things that director Andy Serkis has said about the future of Venom that lets me know boy is not permanently staying in the MCU. He's just going to take a little bus station stop there and eventually end back because, well, he's got to deal with problems of his universe. I will be interested to see how they handle the character of Toxin if they decide to do that, because he's more of a good guy than an actual bad guy. I know throughout the movie he kind of hated Venom and Eddie Brock, but he just did that because they get in the way of his job. And this is where I really wish they did make Eddie Brock a bad guy in here, because then it would make sense that Toxin would eventually want to go after Venom because he's a bad guy out there, and this guy's a police officer with a symbiote trying to catch another symbiote. And he also probably won't be the only villain, because director Andy Serkis has said, now that they showed the prison Ravencroft, which is like Arkham Asylum for Spider-Man, director Andy Serkis did say there's a couple of interesting characters in there that could become future villains for Venom. But enough about that stuff, alright? Let's just get to talking about the end credit scene for Venom Let There Be Carnage, because wow. I am really sorry if you were someone out there who got the end credit scene spoiled for you, because I know it's just everywhere, even before the movie released. But with the end of Venom Let There Be Carnage, Tom Hardy's Eddie Brock is on the run because he feels he's gonna get captured by police or someone and imprison him for just having the symbiote. He decides to end up in an unknown island where him and Venom are having a conversation about Venom's life. Venom mentioning that he has light years worth of information that he's stored and can't share all of it with Eddie Brock because his mind wouldn't be able to handle it. Eddie convincing him just to show a little bit of what Venom knows is about to, until we see Spider-Verse glitching, and out of nowhere Eddie Brock is now in a much nicer hotel room. It's daylight outside and the TV is playing J.K. Simmons, J. Jonah Jameson exposing Tom Holland Spider Man as Peter Parker, while Venom gets closer to the screen, licks the TV, and says the words, "That guy." Alright, so what does this all mean? Because I've been seeing some confusion in here. A lot of people think that Venom is the one that teleported Eddie since he was about to share with his mind all this information, and no, that's just weird timing. This is most likely a cause and effect situation from Tom Holland Spider Man in the MCU, bringing Venom into the MCU after he does the spell with Doctor Strange to have people forget his identity, but of course he messes it up like we're seeing in the trailers. Eddie Brock's Venom is just gonna be one of those multiverse characters that gets pulled in, same as Alfred Molina's Dr. Octopus, Green Goblin, Electro, Sandman, the Lizard, and all those other characters we've been seeing. And this actually confirms a lot of stuff for us. For one, it does let us know that Venom was never really in the MCU. He was in a separate Sony universe, but now because of the multiverse and glitching, he's able to enter the MCU, but his ex-girlfriend and everybody he knows from his life is still in that Sony universe separate from the MCU. So I know there's Spider-Man fans out there disappointed that Tom Holland is going to be the Spider-Man that Eddie Brock is with, but maybe there's a possibility that Andrew or Toby are still the Spider-Man of his universe, and he just jumped over to be with Tom Holland for a bit. Because the words Venom did choose to describe Spider-Man when he saw him on TV, that guy, it's hard to wonder whether Venom meant he recognized him, because he was just talking about light years of experience. Is he familiar with a Spider-Man? Or can Venom just sense that Tom Holland Spider Man would be a perfect host for him, Eddie then becoming enraged, angry that Spider-Man has taken away the thing he loves most and will now go after him? Also, does this mean Venom is the sixth member of the Sinister Six in Spider-Man No Way Home? I don't think so. I think it's pretty obvious now that Venom is going to show up somewhere in Spider-Man No Way Home, whether it's at the end of the movie or as an end credit and post-credit scene setting up that crossover movie where they'll fight. And that's why we saw Tom Hardy wear that crew member Spider-Man No Way Home hat, because, well, he was a crew member in the movie. But just the possibilities of what this means now with Tom Holland Spider-Man, I'm losing my mind, because at some point that means Tom Holland's gonna be wearing that symbiote and we're gonna see his version of the black suit. I don't know if we'll be seeing him dance like Bully Maguire, because this version of the Venom symbiote doesn't really influence a negative side of you to come out. Because if anything, Eddie Brock has turned into a better person since he's had the symbiote, not a more evil one. I do really hope they explain though why Venom is a random character that got thrown into the MCU. We obviously know why, because Sony would like to have that fight between Venom and Spider-Man. But from what we've been hearing, all the other multiverse villains that are coming in, like the Sinister Six, will have the common knowledge that they all fought a version of Spider-Man, were either defeated or killed by Spider-Man, and that's what lets them join together to fight Tom Holland Spider-Man. Venom has no previous beef with Tom Holland Spider-Man and no connection to him, so there's no reason for the multiverse to have pulled him in with that Doctor Strange spell. And I hate being the party pooper, but I just want to be honest with my thoughts. It's just kind of weird that this is how they set up the Venom versus Spider-Man story. It kind of makes me appreciate the Venom versus Spider-Man story in Spider-Man 3, because even though in that movie it was super rushed and short-lived, it's very comic accurate to why Peter Parker and Eddie Brock end up fighting. Where here, they're gonna have to set up some BS reason after the multiverse, because these characters have no connection, and at the end of it, we know Tom Hardy's Venom will still have to end up back in his universe, because they just set up villains in his world that he's got to attend to, so he's not permanently staying in the MCU. But like I said, voice in the back of my mind saying, who cares? We're about to see Venom and Spider-Man fight. It's been forever, 2007 since we saw that happen. I can't wait to see them fight again. But those are just my thoughts on Venom Let There Be Carnage. Like I said, even if I'm not completely in love with these movies, I can't deny the excitement I have to see Venom and Spider-Man fight, especially with some of our modern effects. Whoa, that's gonna be an awesome battle. Not to mention, Venom will finally be getting his white spider. Be sure to leave me your thoughts down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.